Hi, this is Shelley Hoffman with Ask the Expert at PAC-B TV, and today my guest is Bill Lappin, and he's with Cruise Planners right here in the village of Baldwinsville. And Bill's going to give us some information about planning a vacation, some do's, don'ts, what to look for, to really make your next vacation run a little bit smoother, hopefully. What can you tell us? What would you say the one key thing if you're going to plan a vacation that you should know?
First thing you got to do is set your budget.
Oh, yes.
Everybody has plans of what they want to do but have no idea what the cost is. Let's get the costs down first, then we can figure out where you can go and what you're going to do.
And saying that, and I apologize for interrupting for 1 second, it doesn't cost any more to go to a TripAdvisor like yourself, right?
No, all travel agencies usually work on no fee. We get paid commission by the cruise line, so you're paying the same amount of money from us as you would from an online service or booking directly with the cruise line.
And you get the assistance. So I do apologize, but sometimes people get that confused. They think that they do it themselves, they're saving money, but...
Actually costing them money.
Okay. So after you have your budget set, what's the next thing you would advise people to do?
How long can you be away?
Okay.
Certain trips, you have to be away for at least 10 days. If you're going to Alaska and you want to go into the land portion of it, do a cruise and go inland, you need a minimum of 10 days.
Wow.
So if you only have 5 days vacations, Alaska's not for you this year.
Yeah, that is true. Same thing I would think with maybe going over to Europe. Is that the case as well, or can that be done?
It can be done in less than 7 days, but you know, with the cost of air, it really doesn't make sense. By the time you pay your air, which is a big portion of it, you're only going to have a few days on land to enjoy vacation. So you might as well wait until you have the time
To really get over there.
to enjoy it, rather than do a short trip and have to come back next year to see all the things you didn't see the first time.
Yeah, that's true. And speaking of traveling overseas, is there something, I have yet to travel overseas, so when I do make that trip, because I plan on going, what types of things should I take with me? Like what's, you know...
First thing, you need a passport.
Okay, got that.
Still some confusion on that. With cruises going to the Caribbean, you can still do what they call a closed loop cruise, where you start and end at the same port in the U.S. with your birth certificate.
Okay.
The only problem with that, if something was to happen to you while you were traveling, say you got sick and they wanted to fly you home, you can't fly home. You have to come back on the ship that you left on. So it's always advisable to have a passport even though you can leave the country.
What about the enhanced license? Does that count on that cruise?
You
or...
can't fly with an enhanced license.
Okay, okay.
You can start a cruise with an enhanced license, or you can cross the border into Canada or Mexico by car with an enhanced license, but you can't fly with it.
Okay.
So anytime you're going away from the country, outside the U.S. borders, and there's possibility of flying back, you should have a passport.
Okay.
The next thing you have to do is talk to your bank before you go.
Okay, why?
Let them know you're going to be using your credit card or your ATM card there, so they can you can take money out. Because it's cheaper to exchange money with your ATM or your credit card than to buy money from a bank or whatever.
Okay. Now you mentioned about the cruise and everything, but realistically, if I wanted to take a European vacation or Alaskan cruise, something like that, when should I start planning? Like how long does it typically take to make sure you have all the details in place and everything lined up? Or what's the average, I guess?
Average is 6 to 9 months. With Alaska, it's a little longer because it's a short season and there's a lot of demand for Alaska. So it books out quicker.
Okay.
And Alaska is a perfect location for a cruise, land type vacation, because you can see only certain parts of Alaska you can get to on a ship, and only certain parts of Alaska you can get to on a bus or a train.
Gotcha. And that, that is a trip you hear people talk about, the Alaskan.
It's the second biggest cruise destination we have. Caribbean crosses are first,
Gotcha.
and then Alaska, and then it's probably the Mediterranean is the next, and then Hawaii.
Hawaii's where I want to go. So let's say there's people out there that are like me, and in 6 to 9 months I have no idea what I'm going to be doing or how I'm going to be doing it, but I do know that in 3 weeks I have time off. If I was to plan something short term, is there a suggestion for the best way to plan a short term trip? Because there are people out there a little crazy like myself.
The best way to plan a short trip is to call somebody and say, okay, this is my time frame, this is where I can travel, this is how many days I have, where can I go?
And they
reasonably.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Because
love it.
there's, we could have deals in Vegas, we could have deals in the Caribbean, the Dominican Republic right now. There's a lot of deals because they're trying to get people back to their island.
Oh yeah, because of all that.
Yeah.
So that brings another point. There's a myth out there when we were talking earlier about waiting to the last minute type things. Can you clear up a couple, like at least one or two myths for us as far as
Well,
travel?
first of all, when you book a cruise or a land vacation, say 6-9 months out, people think, okay, I booked it, I'm done.
Okay.
Well, you only put a deposit down. You haven't paid the whole thing, and the price, if it goes down, if you're working with an agency, they keep an eye on things, they can get you the lower price.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so you have that. Now, when you get to the short-term deals, there's still some that less than they have been in the past, because the cruise lines have realized that people wait until the last minute and they want a good deal and they have trouble selling out their ships. And they want to sell out their ships. Sooner they sell out the ships, the better off it is for them.
Okay.
So what they've done is they cut back on that drastically. And instead of selling last minute deals, they offer people upgrades. So they sell the upgrades rather than last minute deals, and they make as much money, if not more.
That makes sense. And and obviously we've probably all heard myths and things like that over, so it's good for us to know that you don't want to wait till the last minute. You could wind up missing out on a great vacation.
And then the other thing on that, when you wait till the last minute, you don't get the cabin you want, location, you don't get the dining you want, what time you want. You're stuck with what's left.
That makes sense. So if I'm on my vacation, and let's say I've used your agency or another agency to book it, and something goes wrong, I lose my passport. There's tickets I have to a show, and I can't find those tickets. Is there a way that I can still get help to make my vacation
Yes.
go smoother?
And one thing we want to discuss, which you discussed earlier while traveling, is travel insurance. People always, it's like Sears when you get a refrigerator. People sell insurance and say, I don't need insurance, But when you're traveling outside the country, you better check with your health insurance what's covered. Because Medicare doesn't cover people while they're covering out of the country. Most health plans won't cover you while you're out of the country. Or if they cover you, they'll cover what's reasonable, and you have to pay the bill before you leave the country.
Wow, and travel insurance can help with that?
Travel insurance will be your primary insurance when you're out of the country, and they'll usually, depending on the policy, cover you up to $20,000 to $50,000 per incident.
So most people like myself, I just thought travel insurance was if I had to cancel my trip or something, I'd get reimbursed. I never thought about the health implications.
Yeah.
Of,
We've heard horror stories of people being stuck in Mexico and not being able to leave the country because they haven't paid their bill,
really?
their insurance bill.
Yeah, that.
I mean, that
Right.
hospital bill.
Yeah.
So do check. And there are some plans that do cover you out of the country, but know what your plan covers. Do they cover you for the full course? Do they cover you for what's reasonable and customary, where you have to pay the bill before leaving? Or do they not cover you at all?
Yeah. So I'm smiling because I'm thinking I know people that check their cell phone plan before they leave the country, but not so much their health plan. So that's a really good tip for people to know.
Yeah.
What about then if other things? So let's say you stay healthy for the whole trip, but something else goes wrong. What would you do, or what would you advise people to do? If
Always first try to deal with your vendor, whoever that is.
okay.
Alert the people who have booked your trip what's going on. If you have an agent, call them because they can do something for you behind the scenes.
Okay.
We've had people who were on excursions and just forgot their voucher. You need a voucher to get on it.
Yep.
We can email that to you right away. We usually keep a copy of a person's passports while they're traveling. So if they lose the passport, at least we can send them a copy of it and the numbers so they can deal with that with the agencies that way.
So that's nice. So it's even added just assurance that if something goes wrong, you have backup back home to get back to it. All those make sense. So as I mentioned at the beginning, I really like Hawaii and Alaska are the two places I really want to go. If I was to go to Alaska, what would be the season you would advise people? If you're
The
going to
Alaskan season starts about mid-May and goes to mid-September.
Okay.
Mid-May to early June can be very dicey as far as the weather. It's the bargain time of year to go is what they call the shoulder seasons.
Okay.
So that's when the weather's not that good or unpredictable, the prices are usually a little lower.
It makes sense.
We prefer August to usually go, especially if you're going with adults and you don't have to worry about school. Once you get past mid-August, the weather is very predictable in Alaska. It's a little bit rainy,
Yeah.
but it's predictable. And schools in the south usually start mid-August, so there's less kids running around the ship while you're trying to see the iceberg.
Yep, I can see that. That would be something that I'd want most likely. Leave my kids at home and go off. So.
And then Hawaii, when you're looking at Hawaii, you know, try to figure out, okay, do you want to go all the way to Hawaii first time? Do you want to stop someplace for a day or two in LA or San Francisco and then go on to Hawaii? When you get to Hawaii, do you want to do one island? Do you want to do two islands? Inter-island airfare is very reasonable in Hawaii, usually like $100 a trip. There's one cruise line that does a 4-day cruise around the islands.
Oh, nice.
And what's nice about doing a cruise around the islands is everything's included. Well, your food is included, where on the islands, meals are very expensive.
I have heard that before, that Hawaii is an expensive island to get to, but
But
it's
it's a once in a lifetime trip.
Yeah.
You get the opportunity.
to go, you go. So we're pretty much giving us a ton of information. Is there anything else that you think that maybe it's important for people to know as they're planning the vacation? Anything kind of like a last?
As far as you can plan out, the better off you are.
Okay.
Have an idea of what you want to do on the trip. You know, if you want to go scuba diving, if you want to go snorkeling, tell the person you're dealing with what you want to do, what your interests are. Then they can pick the Caribbean islands are pretty much all the same, but some are better for snorkeling, some are better for scuba diving, some are better for just sightseeing, you know. So let the person know what you want to do. Second, if you're going to do a trip, a group trip, say you got a wedding coming up or a family reunion, let the person know that, you know, we're going to have a different multi-generations going, so they can pick the right cruise line for you or the right resort for you. You don't want to be picking out a resort that's adults only when you're going to have some people that are going to have children with them, so they have to stay at a different resort. And
Right, and you want it to all be together.
yeah, and some lines are designed for your interests. Some are for older generation. Some are for more foodie people, more wine people. Some are the more Las Vegas type field.
Yeah.
And then you get the Royal Caribbeans that are more very kid friendly with a lot of activities.
Right, they have the kids club, I believe, where
Right.
the kids can go and be in activities.
Believe it or not, me, I don't really care about the water slides.
No? They have a, what's that, where you surf? Like you can boogie board or surf on the one back into the cruise?
I've watched that a number of times, and the only people who seem to really do it well are the people that work on the cruise line.
That's true. Yeah, I've watched that myself. Too, so.
Yeah, I'm more concerned with the martini bars than I am with the water slides.
So basically, like Bill's told us, if you use a type of service like that, and we do, we have, one right here in the village of Baldwinsville. They're located all over Central New York. It's nice to have them as a resource because you're going on vacation to relax, and they allow the services they have allow you to relax while you're planning it, relax while you're enjoying it, and know that you can get back home with that help.
Excuse me one second, but we've had a lot of people that start looking themselves, and they realize it's a job and a half to plan it myself. So I'm planning for 4 weeks for 1 week vacation.
Yep.
And then you get emotionally involved and you're planning it yourself and you start looking at prices. And we've had people look at airline and say, well, this flight is $20 cheaper. But you're getting in 6 hours later. So you're saving $40 for 2 people when you're spending $300 for a night for a room and you're only going to enjoy it for 3 hours now.
Right.
So we kind of lay everything out for people so they have an idea.
The big picture.
Of the big picture, rather than getting caught in little nickels and dimes every once in a while.
Yeah, and if you're taking a trip, like you said, Hawaii or Alaska, sometimes those are trips of a lifetime, so you want to get that experience. So,
Yep.
Well, thank you very much for your time
Well,
here today.
thank you very much for the time.
If you have any questions as far as planning a trip, reach out to us here at PAC-B TV. Our website is www.pacbtv.org, or you can follow us on Facebook and ask your questions through the private messenger as well. So, thank you.